Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online series 8 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. In the last episode, we used a really fun Groudon team with Umbreon, so we'll be playing a couple more games with it today. There is a paste and a rental for this down in the description below, and huge credits to Elisa for the team, so thank you to them. They're also linked down in Twitter. Their Twitter is linked down in the description below. So let's get started for the first game of today's episode. We're up against a really cool Palkia team here. Palkia Whimsicott is definitely, I feel like most of the times when I see Palkia, I expect it to be with like some way to activate weakness policy, so from something like Comfy. But Whimsicott could potentially self-activate Palkia's policy, so that's something to watch out for. So let's see. Groudon's not bad here. Once again, because our opponent has Tailwind, like there's just so much Tailwind on the ladder. Kartana's like a little bit more compelling here. But I think my opponent's just going to outpace me if they bring Tailwind, right? So it's pretty easy to get Trick Room up. The question is how good getting Trick Room up actually is for us. Can we do a lot, even with Trick Room up? I mean, Umbreon can Snarl and Foul Play here. Urshifu's a little bit scarier. It's just that I think Charizard and Kartana are a lot better offensively into this matchup. Groudon's not exactly incredible here. So maybe I don't bring Palkia. I'm thinking Porygon, Indeedee, or sorry, maybe I don't bring Umbreon. Groudon, and I don't know. I think Charizard could actually be really solid for us here. So I'm gonna go with Charizard this time around. Umbreon, like, is not bad, but the foul plays aren't super useful into a lot of the physical attackers, like Incineroar. And I already have Porygon 2 for Eerie Impulse to decrease special attack, so it's not like I need Umbreon to Snarl away as well. So we'll see. Either way, though, thank you so much as always for watching Road to Rank. If you enjoyed, please share your support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. Question of the day, if you haven't seen yet, for Series 9, we're actually going back to the Series 7 rule set. That will go into effect in a couple of months. So that was announced earlier today. I'm curious what you think about the rule set. Let me know down in the comment section below. It is just going to be Whimsicott Palkia, so I'm pretty happy to see that, all things considered, honestly. Yeah, I don't think I even need to go for a follow me here. I think I can just not Eerie Impulse, Trick Room and Expanding Force. You probably double up onto Indeedee to pick up a KO, but I'm okay with that, honestly, because then it means a free switch into Groudon. I guess the only awkward thing is then I get Groudon in, and then, well, then I can just Eerie Impulse Palkia, right? So that's pretty good. I'm happy to see Whimsicott here, at least. And I think Charizard could be a really interesting late game option. Obviously, it doesn't have the best matchup against Palkia specifically, but against everything else, it's not bad, especially when maxed in Sun. And there is the interesting consideration of not maxing Groudon in this game. Just because Max Quakes, they're not bad. They do give a special defense boost. Okay, Whimsicott switches out into Urshifu. That makes sense. Oh, I wonder if Palkia reverses my Trick Room here. Yeah, that's really neat. Okay, that's a really cool play. And this is one way you can stop us, right? Oh, no. They're just slower. Never mind. Okay. Well, they go for Spatial Ren. That is such a sick animation. And brings the Indeedee down to its Sash. Okay. And they're Life Orb Palkia. That's really neat. So, I guess I shouldn't be super surprised about Palkia being a little bit slower here. Now I'm curious if it can just reverse our Trick Room, because that's definitely a little bit scary. However, this means that Charizard actually outspeeds my opponent's Pokemon right now, right? So, I can Eerie Impulse here into Palkia, but if I'm going for a Follow Me, Palkia's going to move first anyway, so I don't really need to decrease its special attack immediately here. I think I'm content to just actually Ice Beam into Urshifu and Follow Me. Yeah, I think that's fine. So, Life Orb Palkia is pretty neat to see. And Palkia actually switches out, which I'm okay with, and it's going to be Incineroar. Okay. So this is pretty good, because what this tells me is that they actually don't have a really good Groudon answer at this point. And by bringing in Incineroar immediately, I can just bring out Groudon this subsequent turn, which is great for us. Oh, Urshifu could protect here, though. Yeah, that's a really good protect, because it wastes the turn in my Trick Room. I really, really like that protect. Not much I could have done there other than hard switch Indeedee, but it's kind of a tricky play to make. That being said, it's actually not that bad for us because I can actually just go with Charizard once Trick Room ends in this game. That's part of the reason why I wanted to bring it in this match. So I am just going to launch Ice Beam into Urshifu and go for another... Oh, I can actually Helping Hand here. Yeah, I think I like Helping Hand a little bit more in this position. Just gets extra damage output onto Urshifu. So we have Charizard in the back. Like, Indeedee should feign presumably this turn. I guess the downside of not going for Follow Me if my opponent like splits their attacks or, I don't know, close combat taunts into Porygon. But Ice Beam should do a sizable amount here into the Urshifu. Yeah, that's very good damage. Okay, so there's Flare Blitz. It's going to target the Porygon. Yeah, it might be Flare Blitz and close combat into Porygon, which would honestly make a lot of sense here. Yeah. But Porygon doesn't faint from that, so I will be able to just knock out Urshifu with an Ice Beam now. The question this turn is whether or not I want to read into it protecting. There's only 2 turns of Trick Room left, so they've done a good job of stalling out my Trick Room for sure. Very safe to go for Recover here. I think Ice Beam Follow Me is also appropriate though, because I really could see Urshifu not protecting here. Okay, I'm going to go for the Follow Me and the Ice Beam. If you don't protect Urshifu, that puts us in a really good spot, I think. And even if you protect, it's not the end of the world, because then I get a free switch in, and I have one more turn of Trick Room to work with. And then with the Groudon out, I can just press Biz Blades and recover. So the question, though, is whether or not I can actually get another Trick Room up in this game. I think it's relatively unlikely, but if you look at my opponent's team, okay, they do end up detecting, so it was an opportunity to just get a recover off there. So that's a little frustrating, but like I said, the worst case is now I just get Groudon in, right? So we get Ice Beam into Urshifu. They stalled out my Trick Room really masterfully, though. They actually parting shot into Indeedee. So they are, as you see, very smartly not picking up a knockout onto Porygon, or onto Indeedee, to deny me a free switch in. And they pivoted Groudon out of what was a really bad spot. So masterfully done, honestly. Now, what's interesting is, I feel like you probably bring in Palkia, right? And, like, I can still just Expanding Force. So I would think you'd want to just hard switch back out into Incineroar. We got a lot of damage off just with that early Expanding Force onto Palkia, which is also good. This last turn was a little bit frustrating because if I recovered, I think I'd actually be in a really, really good spot. But I didn't mind covering for Urshifu detecting. However, my opponent played smarter by not knocking out the Indeedee in that position. So, yeah. Okay, so Palkia does come back out. I mean, I think, yeah, you definitely protect Palkia here, right? And you switch Urshifu into the Incineroar. So I think I'm going to just recover here and go for recover and Expanding Force. Expanding Force punishes Palkia not protecting here. They could also make a really good play and just straight up stay in with Urshifu. But if you do that, then I get Groudon and Charizard next to each other, and then I can just max Airstream and press Biz Blades, which is not that bad. And if Urshifu does switch out into Incineroar, like the main thing here is that they've already taken a lot of damage with the main Pokemon they want to max in Palkia, so that's actually really, really important. So yeah, this has been a really interesting game. I think my opponents play better than us. I think we have a decent matchup, and they do switch out Urshifu, which is what I wanted to see. Good. And there's Incineroar. Okay, so the fact Incineroar comes out right now is just good to see, because that means no Intimidate onto Groudon, at least for a turn. This also means, can I get a Trick Room up next turn? Probably not, right? Because Terrain's about to expire. Okay, and interestingly enough, yeah, they don't max the Palkia. So I will just get an Expanding Force off into it. Now, I think if you're my opponent, you actually Spatial Rend into a Porygon slot. But they do target Indeedee, which makes this very, very interesting. Because I actually think now what I can do is just bring out Charizard. So Trick Room expires, Terrain's gone, so you can obviously fake out into the Porygon. But now this is exactly why I wanted to bring Charizard in the first place. Okay, so we finally bring Charizard out with this team. If you're my opponent, you obviously want to fake out into Porygon. I could obviously just switch out Porygon into Groudon. But if you're my opponent, you honestly might want to, I think you consider like protecting Palkia. And protecting Palkia and parting shot into Charizard, because then you can bring out Whimsicott. Do I have a way to cover for both of those? I could Max Quake. Okay, I don't know if this was the play. I'm going for Trick Room Protect because I could see them not faking out into Porygon here. They max Palkia. Okay. It was tricky. I don't know if this was the right play on my end. However, like, Groudon's also really good late game now that I've seen all of their Pokemon. So it really boils down to how this turn plays out, I think. If they went fake out into just Incineroar Max Geyser into Actually, I guess that's probably pretty likely. But I thought there was a world in which they don't click Fake Out into Porygon here. Okay, they don't go for it. Yes, that's huge, because this sets up Groudon now. That's what I was hoping for. So we bait the Max Geyser out. I wouldn't even call it a bait, really, because we take so much damage, but now we're playing towards the Groudon endgame. Unless they have Taunt. Okay. Taunt actually would have ruined us there super hard. They did Parting Shot into Porygon. So, like, what I wanted to do was switch Porygon out into Groudon and a Max Airstream into Palkia. I'm pretty sure that would KO, honestly. So, but I was afraid of Palkia protecting and Incineroar Parting Shot into Charizard. Then that's really bad for us. My only fear now is if Whimsicott is Encore. Man, Encore is actually such a big problem if they actually have it. The question is, do I just hope that they don't have it? It's pretty rare. Because my way around Encore is to hard switch into Groudon here, but I would take so much damage if my opponent targets it with the Palkia slot, which they should, honestly. So, okay, I'm going to go for the Eerie Impulse here and the Air Slash. And if they have Encore, so be it. Okay, they just Taunt. I mean, that's still obviously not ideal, but I'd rather see Taunt over Encore here. Probably a double up on a Porygon, because Charizard's relatively useless for me in this position. Oh no, they actually target Charizard. Okay. Yeah, this is fine with me, because now I have the Groudon endgame to play towards. And the cool thing about Groudon is we can just boost our special defense with Max Quake as well. So, yeah, I think we just bring Groudon out, and my opponent doesn't have any ground resists other than Whimsicott, but that still takes a fair amount of damage. They have Urshifu and Incineroar in the back, both which are not really super scary to deal with. We know Whimsicott is Taunt. So here I'm just going to Ice Beam and Max Quake into Palkia. Yeah. Like, Palkia protecting here is definitely a possibility, but I could see my opponent being really bulky Palkia, switching Whimsicott out into Incineroar, and then Palkia survives a Max Quake. I really don't want that to happen. So there's a switch. Yep. That's what we were expecting. So it's interesting because, like, the Charizard route could have been really good in this game, but I basically thought, like, the play they made that turn, like, I could have just ended up switching to Groudon, maxing Charizard, and I think Max Airstream just KOs Palkia with Life Orb and Solar Power. So, like, that would have been a game-winning play, pretty much. But if Palkia Max Guards / protects there, and then you Parting Shot into Charizard, and I commit a Max, and you go into Whimsicott, then you can Tailwind, and I don't have a Dynamax to play with. Or I do, but, like, it's significantly weaker, right? So I really thought I had to cover that option, and now, you know, at least we have Groudon out under Trick Room. And they don't protect. Okay, huge. So I'm hoping Max Quake gets the knockout here. We are intimidated. Ice Beam didn't do very much damage, so let's see. It's going to be the double up. Okay. Thankfully, that's enough for a KO. And the cool thing is we get a special defense boost here as well, which helps against the Whimsicott endgame. I mean, at this point, my opponent doesn't have too much damage to work with, but it's still not over, because what you can, like, Urshifu can clean up from there, and if you stall out Trick Room once again. So I have to be very careful about that. We still have turns of Trick Room to work with, though, which is good. Yeah, Whimsicott comes out. I mean, with Whimsicott coming out, I think it's always just... We still have 2 turns of Trick Room. It's not really that much, honestly, but I think it's just Ice Beam into Whimsicott, Max Quake into Incineroar here. It's very little reason to not go for that. And, the thing is, my opponent will be able to stall out my Dynamax, which is not great. But I think I had to make that play that turn. This was an interesting one, though, because I think maybe I should have just gone for Follow Me instead of Expanding Force with Indeedee, the turn that I ended up getting doubled up into Porygon, because there's very little incentive for my opponent to not double up onto Porygon in that position. But if I go for Follow Me, at least I guarantee Indeedee faints, and then I get a free switch into Groudon. I think that may have been, like, one of the misplays in this match. So they did a really, really good job of... Oh, interesting. They don't fake out or protect or switch. Well, you don't want to switch here. That makes sense. I wonder if Rockfall there was the call. Okay, they're faster with the Incineroar, so they get the Parting Shot off. But this means I get Max Quake into your Urshifu. I would think that knocks out, and even if it doesn't KO, I can max Rockfall the next turn for a little bit of Sand Chip. So if this KOs, I think we win the game, but let's see. It is -2. Okay, it doesn't KO, but Rockfall will seal it up now. So you have to switch out Urshifu this next turn, back out into Incin. It's going to be Moonblast on the Groudon, but we take no damage from that. Okay, Taunt wears off. It's the last turn of Trick Room. If you're my opponent, I think what you do is switch Urshifu out. Oh, I guess the awkward thing is I can't protect in front of an Urshifu, though. You should switch Urshifu out. I'm going to Rockfall here. And, I think they go for the taunt, but in the off chance they don't, this means I can get another Trick Room off. So, oh, it's such a shame Urshifu hung on with, this time more than 1 HP, but just the sliver. And if they stay in, no, you always switch Urshifu out here. Yeah. Ah, that was so close. I could have doubled up. No, I couldn't have doubled up there. Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't regret making the play I did there. It's just a shame it hangs out with the sliver. Now, the upside, though, is that my Groudon still has, like, I don't think a single close combat will KO it, or Wicked Blow will KO it, because it hasn't taken that much. They do correctly go for taunt, yeah. That's just the best play to deny me further Trick Rooms. But it's okay. I don't think there's much point in going for an Ice Beam there anyway, and it punishes them super heavily if they didn't taunt. So we get Rockfall off, which means Urshifu faints after next turn. The scary thing is playing a potential like Porygon versus Incineroar endgame, because I only have Ice Beam on it. But we know we outspeed Incineroar with Groudon, right? So a Precipice Blade, single target should finish it off. This was a crazy game. It was really fun, so one way or the other, like, I enjoyed it a lot. Unfortunately, it would have just been a win if we knocked out the Urshifu there, but we fell just short of the knockout. We know it's not Banded Urshifu, though, so that's good, nor is it Life Orb. I'm sure it's... Oh, actually, Sash is on Whimsicott, so I'm curious on the item on that. The only reason to protect is to bypass a Fake Out here. If you're my opponent, you're definitely targeting Groudon here, right? So I'm going to Ice Beam into Incineroar. I think there is value in protecting, just because I'm pretty sure Wicked Blow or Close Combat shouldn't KO Groudon here. So I don't want to take extra chip damage from Incineroar going for a Fake Out or a Flare Blitz. So, yeah, I think I just protect here. Porygon's useless, and this essentially is a Groudon versus Incin 1v1. And that's why having Max Rockfall here is really nice to finish off the Urshifu. I think the main swing in this game, though, was calling that my opponent wouldn't go for Fake Out onto Porygon that turn. Okay, so they just go for Wicked Blow. They didn't go for Fake Out. That's fine. We should survive this, right? Okay, yeah, Groudon takes that. Nice. Unless Incineroar somehow can change the weather right now. Because I did an Ice Beam into the Urshifu slot, which is actually maybe a misplay, but they do Flare Blitz into Groudon. Okay, good. So Sands should finish things off here, and now it is Groudon. If we just hit Precipice Blades, we should be good. Yep. Nice. Yeah, Porygon's Taunt is wearing off as well, so soon we can also just recover, and I think because we've gotten this much damage onto Incineroar, we should be good. I don't think a Flare Blitz should KO from the range that I'm at as well, because we're pretty bulky. So even I think you need a Flare Blitz crit or burn at this moment. Just reevaluating the board state. 3 turns of Sand left. Single target Precipice Blades I would think would knock out from this range. They could be Sugar Berry, but then it means you don't have a way to heal. So we need to hit. Oh, they end up just forfeiting. Okay. I think there was a small chance they could have won that, but yeah. Having Max Rockfall was huge, because that meant we had a way to just knock out Urshifu with the Sand. I think the main thing here was I think they were probably expecting the Groudon to be slower than the Incineroar. So because if that happens, then I would have gotten the Max Quake off. Their Incineroar would survive, and then you have a Urshifu coming in cleanly with full HP. Or I guess 50% HP. But because their Incineroar actually outsped us under Trick Room, then Urshifu came in, and we were able to get all of that damage with Max Quake, which was really big, because at that point, it's on a timer from Max Rockfall. So that was a really crazy game, honestly. And despite things not like playing out super well for us in the early game, like we were able to get a second Trick Room up, which was huge. The other direction I really wanted to take this game was to just max Charizard and target the Palkia. If my opponent just went Fake Out Max Geyser, I guess things could have also gotten a little bit dicey. Although I guess if you make that play, then the next turn I can just go out into Groudon and KO you. And then Groudon plus Porygon has like a decent endgame there. I was also really nervous about Encore on Whimsicott, but it is like a really rare attack, and in a game like that, I just felt like I had to hope that they didn't have it. And if they do, I mean, that's why Encore can be a really, really good tech sometimes, but that was an insane match. Okay, we got Weezing Gigas for the next one here. I mean, this definitely feels like a Groudon game. Kartana is mainly for the Kyogre matchup, I think, and with no Kyogre here, it just doesn't make much sense once again. Charizard's weird, where like my opponent doesn't have any fire resists or immunes, but they do have Weezing. Weezing can shut us down a little bit. I feel like this is really just a perfect game for Indy Porygon again. I keep leading this, but it's just so darn good, so why not, right? Groudon on the back. I don't know, I kind of want Charizard again. Because even regular Charizard in Sun just does so much damage with Heat Wave. If I'm bringing Umbreon, the main purpose would either be to foul play into Regigigas, which doesn't feel great, or Snarl into Dialga, but I think Porygon will probably get Eerie Impulses off, so I'm going to bring Charizard again. Even though it didn't do much for us in the last game, it gave us options, right? Like, one thing I always talk about playing in VGC is that you want to play flexible, in Series 8 especially, and for example, in that last match, if I commit Umbreon early, then my opponent knows I have to Dynamax Groudon, but by bringing out Charizard, my opponent had to respect the option of it maxing. So that's what I wanted to play towards. It's just going to be Dialga Grimmsnarl here. Now, what could be awkward is if you can reverse my Trick Room. So, because of that, part of me is thinking, I kind of want to just Eerie Impulse your Dialga. Right away. It is pretty risk-free to, like, because also my opponent, like, I set up Psychic Terrain. This is why Indeedee is such a good Pokemon for this team, because it prevents, even after Indeedee faints, it prevents, like, those priority attacks from coming out. So I think I'm just going to go for a Follow Me and a Eerie Impulse turn 1. There is merit to not revealing Eerie Impulse this early on, but if they max Dialga, it's really doomed for them. And even if they don't max Dialga and they, like, click Trick Room here, then you're kind of in an awkward spot where you'll probably want to switch out the Dialga. And once again, Groudon's really good in this matchup next to Porygon. Porygon 2 is really one of the perfect partners for this Groudon. They switch out Grimmsnarl, okay, because of its ability to Ice Beam. Ice Beam is just so good. Okay, so they don't max, but that's fine. I wouldn't be surprised if they like try to reverse the Trick Room here. Nope, they just go for Flash Cannon. Okay, works for me. Excuse me. Then I wonder, do you even have Trick Room? And do you, like, reverse my Trick Room this next turn? That would be fascinating. Okay, I mean, I'm just gonna go for a Follow Me. They probably have Landorus in the back. That would make the most sense as their fourth. I'll Follow Me and Trick Room here. I think it's fine. If you actually reverse my Trick Room with Dialga, yeah, they switch out. Then I was gonna say I could just go into Charizard and play towards Charizard instead. Landorus comes out, so this is actually really good for us, because now I get Groudon in for free. Unless Urshifu protected, actually. I guess that's always a possibility. But if Urshifu didn't protect, then I just got the Groudon out, and it didn't get intimidated, which is a really big deal. And I have a very safe target of just max Quaking into the Urshifu slot right now. So this is pretty good. I'm happy about our position right now. So Indeedee faints, and I get the free switching into Groudon that I was looking for. A lot about this team is vying for the perfect position. You need to get like the Pokemon you want to max in basically at the right time. I love Eerie Impulse because like it was a very low risk play, right? If my opponent maxes Dialga, which is really unlikely there, but I don't know, there's a small chance they do. If they max Dialga, they're like it's probably just so hard for them to come back after. And even if they don't max, it's not the end of the world. So we get Groudon in. I could Swords Dance here. That feels a little bit greedy to me. If I'm my opponent, I'm thinking though maybe you switch out Landorus. You also could just max Landorus and like max Quake too, and protect Urshifu. But I don't think I actually get that much out of Swords Dance, so I'd rather just max for bulk here, Quake into the Urshifu slot, and go for an Ice Beam onto the Landorus slot. What do I want to see here? I honestly probably prefer to see them protect with Urshifu, because then I get an Ice Beam guaranteed into the Landorus slot, which is a lot of damage. I guess my one fear here is if you're like a weakness policy. They actually switch out Landorus, which makes a lot of sense. I think that's a good play. Yeah, if you switch out and then you protect Urshifu, then this is why I could have gone for, like, where Swords Dance would have been huge for me. But I just think it's a little bit greedy. I don't know, though. I guess it is a game-winning play if I make that there. So the good thing is, the combination of Max Quake and Ice Beam is very strong to my opponent's team right now. The bad thing is that they will be able to, just bring Landorus back out for another Intimidate later on. Okay, so they don't protect the Urshifu. I'm okay with that. We got Ice Beam off into Dialga. Well, I could have doubled up onto Urshifu. That probably would have made things a little bit better, but it's okay. So, because it should have Sash. Actually, it just survives that naturally, yeah. But I think because Landorus is such a big threat, I did want to show it respect and cover for it. So, I guess we eat up a close combat in this position. Yep. But that's okay, because I can just heal all of that damage off with the recover, so it's really not the end of the world for us. This next turn, though, there is merit into just going for a Max Quake onto Dialga and Ice Beam into Urshifu. Because I could see Urshifu just staying in and attacking, and it punishes me by clicking recover. If I just Ice Beam and, like, my opponent doesn't have a safe switch into Ice Beam right now. Their best switch in is Grimmsnarl, but if Grimmsnarl comes out, then I can just click recover the next turn. And because I'm getting special defense boost right now, that's pretty valuable as well. Now, they could switch Dialga out into Landorus. That's actually probably the switch they make here. I think I should have reversed my attacks here. I like Rockfall into Urshifu, Ice Beam into Dialga a little bit more, I think. Because they're doing a good job of stalling out my Trick Room right now. So, that's the other thing with this team. You want to maximize your Trick Room turns. Swords Dance last turn probably would have been a game-winning play. Yeah, they switch out Urshifu. Okay, is that Landorus? Yeah, that's really good for us. But of course, you could be Weakness Policy Dialga, so that scares me a little bit. Either way, getting an Ice Beam into Landorus before a potential max is a big deal. Even if it's Assault Vested, it takes a ton of damage. And they don't max Dialga either. Oh, and they just protect. Wow. That's a dream turn. So, glad it was the Urshifu switching out. That's why I didn't want to recover. Because if I can punish Landorus switching in, it's just such a big deal. And they're not even AV, actually, so we just get the knockout. Which makes this game really hard for my opponent now, I think, because my Charizard is just waiting in the back. Waiting for Trick Room to end. And then it can come in and just click Heat Waves. So Dialga Reveal, Protect, Flash Cannon. Normally you want a Dragon type attack. I don't think you have Trick Room, otherwise it would have made a lot of sense to Trick Room on turn 1. The nice thing here is I'm getting special defense boosts with these Pokemon as well. It is Weakness Policy. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Huh. I mean, that's a little bit scary, but it's not the end of the world because they do have Eerie Impulse. However, they have Grimmsnarl. Yeah, so you can bring out Grimmsnarl and just fake out into Porygon now. Like, fake out Amax Steel Spike it. I don't think I should switch out. Oh, we have 2 turns of Trick Room left. Okay, that's actually really good. Well, it's definitely Max Quake into Dialga here. And I don't think I'm going to get Recover off. I think I get hit by a Fake Out or a Taunt here. Wow, so it actually was Weakness Policy Dialga. Yesterday, I was playing super, super scared of it. Today, I thought they actually could have even just maxed there, because then you survive, but I guess they didn't want to take 2 Max Quakes. Like, now you get Dialga, and I have that Intimidate drop, so Max Quake shouldn't KO the Dialga. So that makes sense. So this is going to be a tight finish, because if it weren't Weakness Policy, I would think we had this game. Oh, but they don't Fake Out or Taunt, or, go for, like, Fake Tears or any of that. So I actually get a Recover off, which is a huge deal, because my Groudon's at +3 special defense now, and I can Eerie Impulse Dialga next turn, and you did not actually end up preventing, like, KOing Porygon. So now this Porygon's at +3 special defense. Max Quake still does pretty good damage in Dialga there as well. I don't think Precipice Blades will finish it off next turn, though, unfortunately, so that's a little bit sad, but it's okay. They're just going to go for Max Steel Spike. Yeah, especially with they get a defense boost from this, so it goes into Porygon. Still does a sizable amount, but we have one more turn of Trick Room to work with, which is good, right? If we get another Trick Room off in this game, then if we just switch Groudon out and back in, like, it's definitely over. If you're my opponent right now, do you want to Max Guard with Dialga? That's a possibility. I could always recover. Let's see, I'm at what, -1 right now? Right, and they have Reflect up, so I'm really not doing too much right now. 2 turns of Sunlight up. And I have Charizard waiting in the back. I mean, I like Eerie Impulse into Dialga here, honestly. Swords Dance is tempting. Because I'm not going to KO here anyway, so it just means I do more damage to Grimmsnarl afterwards. Okay, I'm down for a Swords Dance and a... I don't know if you have Fake Out or Taunt then. So let's assume you don't have either. What's my best play here? I like Eerie Impulse because it just means Dialga's not that much of a threat anymore. Oh, but they fake tears. Into Porygon, though. Okay. I guess I don't mind that much then, because Recover would have been worse off for me. And if you knock out Porygon here, then I just get a free switch in into Charizard, which is not that bad. So you're back at neutral at my +3 special defense with this Groudon, which is good, obviously. And they go for another Steel Spike. Yep, into Porygon. Does that KO us? It does not. Okay. So that's nice, obviously. What do you do if you're my opponent this next turn? Spirit Break into Porygon? The downside is, like, I'm running out of turns of Sun, right? So we've seen Fake Tears, we've seen Reflect, presumably Light Screen. They didn't Fake Out. Spirit Break makes the most sense, right? Dual Screens, Fake Tears, Spirit Break, I think, is probably this Grimmsnarl set. But we have Charizard in the back, and even regular Charizard's pretty good into my opponent's team here. So I think I just sacrifice Porygon, honestly, and play towards the Groudon in this endgame. Like, I'm going to protect here with the Groudon. And so I don't need a potential Fake Tears. Like, I think Protect Trick Room here is fine. If I get Trick Room up, then Groudon sweeps this endgame. If I don't get Trick Room up, then Charizard sweeps this endgame. So that's why I really like the Charizard and the Groudon combo here. They are going to Steel Spike into Groudon this time. Okay. Steel Spiking there is an interesting decision. Instead of Wormwinding. No, actually, what am I saying? Steel Spike is just better. Unless you have a stronger Wormwind. It is Spirit Break into Porygon. Yep, that's fine. So this should KO us, but now I get a free switch into Charizard. Right when Dialga's max ends, and I have the... the main thing here is I'm pretty sure the Grimmsnarl isn't, like... It's going to be Light Clay, right? So we have Life Orb, Scorching Sands, Charizard. I think that should just KO the Dialga. And we're at +3 Spadef with Groudon, so that's also good. The main big advantage in this game was actually knocking out the Urshifu the turn it switched out. Urshifu is really low, right? So that's going to be in KO range from any attack at this point. +3 Spadef, +1 attack, +2 attack, +3 defense. Obviously, the attack doesn't really matter. I think now it's fine to just click Precipice Blades, and... I think there's value in protecting Charizard here, actually. The question is, does Scorching Sands KO Dialga? And then does Drake... Well, yeah, I don't think it would. I think we can just Precipice Blades here. I'm just worried about a Fake Tears like Draco Meteor into Groudon. I also don't know if Precipice Blades even KOs here, so I'll just Scorching Sands. Let's see what they opt for. Yeah, it is Light Screen. So if Dialga can survive the Life Orb Scorching Sands, I'm a little bit nervous. But with the Urshifu being as low as it is in the back, I think we're okay anyway. And okay, that's enough for a knockout. Nice. Kartana would have been able to clean up this endgame as well, but I didn't feel as calm. I thought Charizard was a really good max option potentially in this game, so that's why I didn't want to go with that route. So Groudon's been an absolute monster for us today, honestly. And, interestingly enough, Umbreon didn't really come out very much, but I just didn't think it made as much sense in the specific matchups we ran into. So Urshifu comes out for my opponent. I'm just going to Precipice Blades again. And Scorching Sands is 100% accuracy, so no reason not to go for that. The nice thing about Charizard is outspeeding Urshifu as well. You do outspeed the majority of the metagame, including Urshifu and Landorus, so that's exactly why I wanted to bring it, because I thought regular Charizard was really good in this matchup, and that's exactly what happened in this endgame. So, yeah. I think my opponent maybe had an opportunity this game to have max Dialga the turn they protected, and, let me activate the policy, and then you just retaliate back with a lot of damage, because then you're at +2 immediately. But I think Groudon being able to boost its special defense from Max Quake is so nice. We've also been lucky. We haven't really missed any Precipice Blades, and that move is... It's like on the cusp of accurate. Like, you obviously have to use it. It's really just by far the best option, the only option. I mean, you can use Earthquake or I guess like a single target ground type attack, but it's not like Precipice Blades is just so good, right? So yeah. Now we can just go for... That doesn't really matter. We'll just Scorching Sands again. Charizard came through for us in the end, though, so very glad it put in a lot of work, and that's exactly why I wanted to bring it. Grimmsnarl survives, but we actually get the bird. I forgot that could even bird in the first place. Rock Slide was probably better here over Precipice Blades, but there's no way a Grimmsnarl is ever winning this endgame, so yeah. All we needed to do is deal with our opponent's main max options, and I think this is kind of what happened in both of the games today, where my opponent just didn't have very much room to actually die to max. Like, by the time they maxed, they already took so much damage with their Pokemon that they maxed, right? Whether it be Palkia in the first game or the Dialga in this last one. So, yeah. Ooh, I am curious about their team. So it's likely Grimmsnarl, yeah, dual screens, Fake Tear, Spirit Break, so no Fake Out or Taunt. That explains why Porygon survived that turn. Sash Urshifu makes a lot of sense. Policy Dialga, it has Thunder, so no Dragon type attack. which explains why they just kept Steel Spiking. Because I was thinking if you have Draco or, you know, Roar of Time, you have a stronger Max Wormwind. Choice Scarf Landorus, makes sense. Life Orb Regigigas, pretty standard, and then Weezing. Yeah, Weezing Gigas was not easy. Like, you can't really bring that into this matchup, because Groudon just does really well into it, and then Inity can just redirect all the potential, like, taunts away, right? So, like, I guess you could lead Weezing Regigigas if you don't know about this team, and you think that Inity isn't Sash, because then what you could do is just, like, Max Darkness or Max Strike, and then taunt the subsequent turn, but, yeah. All right, next game here. And as you'll notice, like, games with this team, as I mentioned yesterday, go a little bit longer, but that's how you're really supposed to play it. And I think the first game is a good demonstration how even if, like, things don't necessarily go your way, it's okay. Yeah, like, it definitely wasn't perfect for us because our opponent was playing really, really well, but, like, the team has so much bulk that you just have a lot of room to maneuver with. This next team is interesting. They have Yveltal. I mean, Groudon's really good here, but I have to be careful of a couple of things, right? With Grimmsnarl, I'll always just full instance stuff. Screens as well. Incineroar's Intimidate. Yveltal can foul play me, so I have to be a little bit more hesitant of Swords Dancing. Spectrier can go for Taunt or Will-O-Wisp. And then Raichu. Raichu's not that scary here. They don't have terrain control, so I don't know. Indy Porygon, I think I've led for all 6 games with this team, but it's just good. It's just good. Like, the thing is, if I ever go the faster mode, my opponent has potential Nuzzle with Raichu. So I don't like that. I think I like Porygon and Indy Groudon for sure. Question is, though, who do I want? I don't like Kartana because Yveltal could have Heat Wave. So it's between Charizard and Umbreon. And I actually think Charizard is interesting here because they don't have great fire resists. Umbreon's not bad, though. I'm actually going to bring the Umbreon here, mainly because they have... No, actually, I think if you're my opponent, you just max Yveltal here. Well, Umbreon's not bad for foul play. I mean, not foul play. Eerie Impulse into it. Not Eerie Impulse. Snarl into it, but... I don't know. Umbreon's, like, a little bit more consistent, but the nice thing about the last games is I had the flexibility of Charizard. I won't have that flexibility in this game. It's just going to be Grimmsnarl or Yveltal. Unfortunately for me, Inidi's going to be really useless for us in this matchup, but that's okay. Like, I think I just go Follow Me Trick Room turn 1. And... yeah, man, like, something like Indy Groudon actually could have been really good here. Maybe that was the play. No, but then if you don't max Yveltal, you can foul play me. Like, that's kind of scary. Yveltal's slower than Indy, so that's good to know. It's definitely just going to be a Follow Me here. I think if you're my opponent, you probably just Snarl. I'll foul play Trick Room. Or sorry, Follow Me Trick Room. I mean, Groudon's what we play towards in this matchup, but I don't know whether or not Charizard was the right one over Umbreon. Because I wanted Umbreon because it does pretty well into everything that's not Grimmsnarl plus Yveltal. Yeah, so there's Screens Grimmsnarl, that's okay. So Yveltal's going to be a pain to deal with, though. Yeah, and they just Snarl. This makes this next turn kind of awkward, because I don't really have a free switch in. And... I am also nervous about Weakness Policy Yveltal. Though I think it's less likely you run Policy with the Snarl set. And you have Metagross, so yeah, I actually think it's very unlikely Yveltal has Snarl here. I can just Helping Hand and Ice Beam this turn. I think I'm down for that, just for chip damage. Then I can bring in Groudon. But the thing about Groudon is, do I want a Swords Dance? Oh, you know what was the play here, actually? I think switching Indy out... it's just so tough to get Groudon in safely here. Because if my opponent, like, reads into the Groudon switch and foul plays, it's so bad. We never want that to happen. Get Ice Beam off. Not bad damage, honestly. I'll take it. We get a freeze. But they thaw out instantly. The turn 1 freeze is always the funniest one to me. Because it's like, you get your hopes up and you're like, oh boy, and then... boom. You just steal it away. Okay. I can go into Groudon now. It just sucks because I want to Swords Dance so badly, but if I Swords Dance and they just foul play, it's actually a disaster. So, unfortunately, I think I am forced to just max here. I think the play would have been to... This actually was a better... I think it's like a little bit risky, but I think it's fine to make in this game. I think the play was to protect Indy and switch Porygon out of Groudon, and then the subsequent turn go for Follow Me. Well, then I guess Grimmsnarl could just Spare Break and knock out Indy, so maybe that actually doesn't work out as well as I thought it would. Yeah, I'm just going to max. I'm going to Rock Fall and Ice Beam. No, I could recover here. I think it's better to first off go for recover. You always just want Porygon to be... Like, the thing about Porygon, it's probably instant switching in, right? Yeah. I'm probably just going to do so little damage at this point to the Yveltal. So, maybe Charizard would have been appropriate to bring. Screens definitely can be tough to play through. And Yveltal here specifically, it was also tricky because against a lot of teams, often if you get the Trick Room up and you get a single Swords Dance off, then Groudon, after, if it doesn't take too much damage, then you just max it and sweep through with it. Charizard could have been appropriate. I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I think like Groudon plus Charizard actually is a kind of cool lead here. But they had Raichu. No, would you really bring Raichu into a Groudon matchup? Probably not, right? So I think I played a little bit too safe here, and Screen's Grimmsnarl loves to punish that. So Charizard plus Groudon could have been pretty cool. Because what I can do is just like max Airstream and Wildfire away. And I think Metagross doesn't make much sense in this matchup. Like, I think I could have figured out which Pokemon my opponent are going to bring just by process of elimination in this game, because Raichu just doesn't make too much sense, nor does Metagross, given that you're playing to Groudon and Charizard. So for that reason, I think I can actually get away with, like, Groudon stuff. We're going to do so little with Max Rockfall. It's actually going to be sad, because they have Reflect and the Intimidate. Oh my gosh. But this is why Yveltal is a beast. You know, we just featured Yveltal. My opponent positioned their Yveltal really, really nicely. So, yeah, I think if I could replay this, it's probably... I lean towards, like, setting up Charizard a little bit more. Man, that Max Darkness does so much, too. And they get a special defense drop onto us, which is obviously not great. I could have gone for Airy Impulse there. Maybe. That could have been better. I think here, I'm just going to Quake. Like, there's no point in Rock Falling Yveltal at this position. I'll Quake and switch into Umbreon. But, unfortunately, Umbreon's not doing much for us here. Charizard, honestly, wasn't going to be great either against Screens, Incineroar, and Assault Vest Yveltal, but maybe a little bit better. Kartana definitely, I don't think, is it, though. And I think I like playing more aggressive. Like, something like NDD Groudon would have been kind of cool, because, like I said, I could follow me Swords Dance with that, and then Max Groudon turn 2. Instant outspeeding us under Trick Room also it actually worked out for us in the first game, not in this one, because, yeah, they just outspeed and get the parting shot off, so they played this masterfully. And I think like it's like goes to show when your opponent can outbulk you, so the team has tools to deal with it, right? G-Max Wildfire is already just pretty strong. If I lead Groudon plus Charizard, I can probably just max Charizard immediately and Wildfire into... Okay, Raichu comes in, actually. Wow, Chocoberry. Huh. Yeah, this is... How much does this do? Honestly, I have no idea. But I am -2 attack and would reflect up and a Chocoberry. Yeah, less than 50%. It's not every day you see Raichu take so little damage from that. And so this is what I was saying. They actually did end up bringing Raichu, but not Metagross. But I don't know. I think this game I probably should have tried to just like Swords Dance with Groudon early. They do go for a Max Darkness into a Porygon slot though, so that's good at least. They have Instant Grimmsnarl. I mean, this is totally winnable because if you look at what my opponent has damage-wise, it's like Instant Raichu and Grimmsnarl all don't do that much damage, right? Well, I suppose you could say the same for me, where all of my eggs are in the Groudon basket right now, so yeah, that's still a problem, I suppose. Porygon's so low. Can I get another Trick Room up? It's really hard. I have Yawn, though. Hold on. Yawn's actually pretty interesting, because Max Working into Raichu here and Yawn into Yveltal. Like, I'm not giving up, even though I think my opponent has started really, really well. We have done, you know, about 50% to Yveltal. Max is about to end. And we get Yawn off, which means Yveltal is either forced to switch next turn or just stays in and gets KO'd. And I get another special defense boost this way, too. We should KO Raichu. Yep. So they have Grimmsnarl and Incineroar in the back. See, the thing is, Groudon will slowly chip away at things, right? Yawn actually might be the difference maker here, so let's see. I guess if you're my opponent, though, you bring in Incineroar, you fake out, and then switch out Yveltal. But then I can just keep clicking Yawn. They max Darkness into Umbreon again. That's interesting. Okay. I don't mind that. So, yeah, we're watching two, like, really much slower-paced teams kind of slog against each other. And I think, like I said, I think the mix-up to approach this matchup, if I were playing my opponent again, would be considering leading Groudon Charizard or Groudon Indeedee. But It's tricky, right? Because Yveltal probably has foul play. So, like, if I know Yveltal doesn't have foul play, the approach I would take all the time is just get a Swords Dance off in the early game. But I think you always have to assume Yveltal has foul play until you see otherwise. So, yeah. So, Grimmsnarl comes out. The cool thing is now I can just keep yawning and cycle yawns, which is actually really nice. I don't want to give up these special defense boosts on the Groudon. Does help against Yveltal. Oh, what am I saying? I'm at -1 then. Okay. Forget that. Let's switch out. Let's go out on a Porygon. I forgot that they were ahead in the yawn game. And, the boosts game. And, I like yawning here, I think. Oh, no. They have Spirit Break with Grimmsnarl. I should think about that, shouldn't I? Yes, I should. But I can't switch both my Pokemon out, which sucks. I switched in Moonlight. Oh, they're staying in with Yveltal. That is really interesting. Okay. Maybe Groudon can pull this off then. Let's see. Yeah, they're going for a recovery with Oblivion Wing Snarl. I'm sure it's just a standard AV set. That makes sense. Double up on Umbreon to KO it. But then I get Groudon in safely and Yveltal falls asleep. So I think this kind of comes down to sleep turns, to be honest. Yeah, they did Spirit Break into Umbreon. I don't like staying in with Groudon there because I'm already at -2 attack, so that doesn't feel great. But Yveltal will fall asleep here. I think we probably need a 2 or 3 turn sleep in this game. That's what I'm thinking. But if you're my opponent, I think you're forced to Spirit Break Porygon this turn. So I can get a Swords Dance off with Groudon. And then you probably switch Grimmsnarl out into Incineroar next turn. Maybe it's just better to Rock Slide here then. Still 3 turns of Reflect. That's also important to consider. Okay, I'm going to go for the Swords Dance play. I think, like, if we get lucky with sleep turns, then... I could have just Rock Slided there initially. That would have given us a flinch chance. Maybe it's actually worth Rock Sliding there just for the flinch chance on a Grimmsnarl. Yeah, that might have been worth. Porygon hangs on, though! Oh, you're so clutch. That's so huge. That's such a big deal. Okay. But the thing is now, Foul Play actually probably just knocks out Groudon, right? So I should have Rock Slided. Trick Rooming also would have actually won me the game there, I think. Oh my gosh. I think it's just Trick Room Protect here. I'll lose the game if Yveltal wakes up and they Foul Play in a Groudon. But I'll win the game if it doesn't wake up here. So it's a 2/3 chance to basically win right now. Even if I Protect, I'm not sure I'll KO the subsequent turn. Alright, I'm just going to go for the Rock Slide then. Oh, what am I saying? They already took 1 turn to sleep, so... Yeah, that one shot. Oh, that crit. I don't know if that crit mattered. I want to do the calc right now. We needed a 2 or a 3. I could have protected there. I should have Trick Roomed last turn, I think. Trick Rooming last turn would have won me the game. Yeah. I wanted to recover, but I don't think recover makes much sense because Groudon's my win condition in that match. So I should have thought a little bit harder instead of hoping for a 2 or a 3 turn sleep. Yeah, so yeah. I mean, the odds were in our favor there, but I could have just won outright if... Well, I would still need to hit the Rock Slide anyway. I'm just curious if that crit mattered. Let's see, Yveltal into Groudon. I'm thinking it doesn't because we're at +2. Against regular Groudon. It is not a guaranteed KO, actually. So... Oh, that actually really stings. Yeah, it's not a guaranteed KO. But that's this is a good example of how, like, you know, I could have optimized my odds in this endgame. If I just protected there... I think Protect was better there, too. Because you know my opponent's going to go for Foul Play. Okay, then the question is, how much does Rock Slide do? Because what I was thinking... Here's what I was thinking, right? The reason I didn't go for Protect was because I was like, okay, if they don't wake up, and I Rock Slide there, I should just win the game because I get so much damage off of the Rock Slide where even if I don't KO, another one should KO. I don't know my damage calc super well into Yveltal, so let's see. Rock Slide against max HP Yveltal, and they have Reflect up. They were at like, what, 50+%? Reflect. Yeah, so +2 Rock Slide does 46 to 55. +1 Rock Slide does 35 to 42. Oh, but then I guess the thing is if you bring me down to +1, Foul Play is never KOing. So I should have just Protect Trick Room there. There was the opportunity of them potentially having Taunt, and Rock Slide from Foul Play from therein wasn't a guaranteed KO, but the odds were in their favor. Like, this is telling me it is against Groudon +2. It's 69% chance to one-shot, so the crit just guaranteed it, but it like, yeah. So I should have protected there. That's the thing, like, Trick Rooming the turn before with Porygon would have been better, and then protecting with Groudon afterwards would have been better as well. I think both of those were game-winning plays. If they take the 2 or 3 turn sleep, that Rock Slide should win us the game. So the odds of us winning that turn were actually pretty good because they need a immediate wake up on turn 2, and they need either the favorable damage roll or get a crit on top. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's any reason not to Trick Room the turn before though, instead of recovering. Because if I'm expecting to survive, I should, yeah. Because Swords Dance Trick Room basically means then I just get the Rock Slide off. So, like, even though maybe I got, like, a little bit unlucky here, it was a blatant misplay that even allowed my opponent to be in that position, and I could have just won by Trick Rooming. So, I think with Porygon, it is important to assess when you should Trick Room over recover. I think in my head, I thought it was just going to get KO'd anyway, and, but Trick Rooming there was clearly the play. And then there's an argument to make about whether or not I could have just instead of Swords Dancing with Groudon, just Rock Sliding a bunch. Because, like, even though it's not doing much, it's still doing some damage, right? Like, neutral Rock Slide, even through Reflect against max HP Yveltal, does 24 to 28%. So, 2 Rock Slides actually could have finished up the deal. And if you Intimidate me, then you're doing even less damage. So, I think that would have been the approach. I think we would have lost the game anyway if Porygon fainted, and so that's why I think in my head I needed to think a little bit harder and hope that Porygon was going to survive there, because the recover ended up being useless. So, yeah. A little bit sad that I kind of threw it away in that last one, but I think, like, endgame scenarios can be a little bit tricky sometimes, especially with, like, so much bulk, because I didn't know the damage calc super well off the top of my head, and so, yeah, I think, like, if I could replay that, I definitely would have just clicked Trick Room over Recover all the time with Porygon, and then with Groudon, honestly, I think with Groudon, it's better to just click Rock Slide a bunch rather than Swords Dancing, because then you just do so much less damage with Foul Play. I think I got greedy, and I was like, I will immediately win this game if you take a 2 or 3 turn sleep, slash if you don't have Foul Play, although you're definitely going to have Foul Play there, slash Foul Play doesn't KO us. But unfortunately, they did have Foul Play, it did KO, and that's a knockout we probably should have expected as well. So, yeah, like I said, it was a damage roll in my opponent's favor. The crit just sealed it up on top, but this is an example of how you can minimize that RNG, right? If I just click Trick Room, I don't even have to deal... Well, I still have to hit the Rock Slide, I guess, but I don't have to... I get to move before my opponent's Yveltal, and I have a flinch chance even if they wake up. So, yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, like, that's why there's very little, like, margin for error sometimes in this game. One turn, one move can make all the difference, and that's exactly what happened with Porygon there in the end. So, we still could have won. If Yveltal just stays asleep there, I think that's game over and we get the Rock Slide off. And if we manage to actually survive and they get, like, the low damage roll, I think we can also win. But, you know, I could have, you know, eliminated any of that, like, potential numbers games just by clicking Trick Room beforehand. So, the reason I didn't want to just keep clicking Rock Slide was fear of missing Rock Slide, plus, like, by Swords Dancing, I basically pushed the tempo a little bit as well. But I don't think there's ever a reason to recover over Trick Room, so that was a clear misplay there. I wish I thought about that specific move a little bit harder, but it is what it is. Either way, though, this team is really incredible, so once again, huge thank you to Salami for the team. You can find details down in the description below. Games go on a little bit longer, but I think they're really fun, and the matches today were all really intense, so yeah. You know, I wish I could say I could play perfectly all the time, but I definitely don't, but I think ideally by making these mistakes and learning from them, hopefully you can as well, so yeah. Either way, thanks as always for watching. Let me know what you think about the Series 9, aka Series 7 rule set down in the comment section below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Alright, peace.